Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Algo. Today's host is Scott Farrell, and he is their Strategic Accounts Manager for the US and Canada. And he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box so that Scott can answer them at the end of today's presentation. Scott, thank you so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate it. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Okay, thanks, Julie. Appreciate that. Welcome, everyone. And today we're going to touch on some of the new things that Algo are bringing to bear in the market. So we'll talk about our announcement with the Microsoft Teams compatibility. We have a new IP display speaker that is garnering a lot of attention, and we're also rolling out zero-touch provisioning. So thanks for joining. So I'll give you a brief overview of Algo. We'll talk about the Teams compatibility. We'll look at the new display that we've brought to market, and I'll touch on the zero-touch provisioning that's now available. So for those of you who are not familiar with Algo, we're a manufacturer of IP endpoints. We've been in the industry for quite some time, always in the telephony manufacturing realm, North American based, and we've basically evolved to a company over the years that builds SIP compliant devices. So we're compatible with over 60 different SIP platforms, and now we're certified with the Microsoft Teams SIP gateway with a wide portion of our product set. So Algo basically sells product in 4 categories. We build a large variety of speakers. We build door intercoms, gate intercoms that are available, that are audio and video capable. We also build paging adapters that tie into legacy infrastructure. So that's a very common use case for customers that are migrating over from a premise-based solution to a hosted solution. These devices are very common. What they do is provide connectivity to the new SIP-based infrastructure and then provide a balance line output to legacy infrastructure. And there's a lot of other feature sets that are embedded in these endpoints that we can touch on. We also build visual notification devices. So you'll see the strobe light that we build as a multicolored strobe, red, green, blue, amber. And we've just recently introduced this new LCD display that you see pictured there that has the 12 p.m. on it, and we'll be touching on that in more detail as we go through these slides today. So the Algo portfolio of products, very high quality, industrial grade. All of our devices are PoE powered, so they don't need any local power. There's a web interface for management on our devices. We support wideband audio across the portfolio of products, so you experience great speech intelligibility. We can scale. We support multicast on our portfolio, so we scale nicely into any number of endpoints as long as we have network available. You can continue to add devices to secure SIP connection. And there's no additional software or hardware required, right? So basically everything is embedded within our endpoints. We act as a third-party SIP endpoint. And as I mentioned earlier, we're compatible with over 60 different platforms. Lots of great features that are embedded in the endpoints, including a microphone that facilitates two-way communication, ambient noise detection, and so on. So again, there's a scheduling application that's available. Everything is embedded within the endpoints. So this is something that's just coming live this week, actually, is the Microsoft Teams compatibility. So we've been working very closely with Microsoft. And what we're introducing is the ability for a number of our devices, there'll be over 15 of them, that will natively be able to register to the SIP gateway. So basically, they'll consume a common area license, when they basically register into the SIP gateway. The latest version of firmware is required. So 5.3.2 is the latest version of firmware. You load that onto your device, and when you log into the device, you'll see your normal web interface that you're used to with an Algo device. But under the admin settings, you'll see that there's a radio button to put it into the Microsoft mode. The device will reboot, and then it'll come up and ask you to register with a code, and it's very similar for those of you that are familiar with registering a SIP device into the gateway. Very, very similar. Another nice thing is with our product set is anything that was manufactured after 2018 will be compatible with the Teams with the simple firmware update. So what are we addressing? I mean, this is a big one on the left, enabling legacy voice paging systems. So deploying the 8301 with SIP register into the gateway that facilitates a call to this device. It auto answers and it provides a balance line output to the amplifier. And we've done a ton of testing, and worked with a number of integrators in the past. And we have that documented on our website. There's a nice document there that lists a lot of the common legacy systems that are in place today and how you would interface an Algo 8301 to it. If you don't find the particular amplifier listed there, please feel free to reach out to us at info or at support, and we'd gladly engage and help you with identifying that. So if you're going to be doing net new, you'll be able to deploy an Algo speaker into an environment, be able to SIP register that via the gateway. You'll be able to call the device, it'll answer, and then it'll broadcast onto the network, leveraging multicast, so you can page to multiple devices. Again, we can leverage multicast and DTMF to do multiple zones with any deployment of our products. If you have requirements for emergency notification and loud ringing, of course we can address that, with loud ringing or visual notifications for ringing as well with the product set and the Teams gateway. So feel free to reach out to us. We're ready to help you in any way, answer any questions that come forward. So the Teams, here's a list. Basically, there's a detailed list here that you can see. So a number of the speakers, the two paging adapters that we build, the door intercoms, the two popular ones, the 8201, 8063, are going to register. So we do not have the 8039 and the 8036 video enabled devices as part of that offering, but the two audio only devices, the 8201 and the 8028, are going to be compatible with the gateway. And of course, the visual notification devices, the 8128, the 8138, and the new IP displays of 8410, 8420 that I'll be talking about today are compatible with the SIP gateway. So what we've done is launched a page. So if you go under the Solutions tab on our website, you'll see the Teams logo there. And if you click on that, it'll bring you to the compatibility page. There's a how-to video that's been published there. And there's a very well documented configuration guide that'll step you through all of the requirements to get an Algo device registered into your SIP gateway. So these are the new IP display speakers that have just launched. These are they've been on display at a few trade shows that I've recently attended, and very, very well received. So it's a 15.6-inch HD wide-angle viewable LCD screen. So you can see the screen very clearly. Even if you're standing beside it, it's got a wide viewable screen. The screen is available for content to be pushed, as you'll see in other slides. So we're going to be able to not only, for instance, have what they display here, a digital clock. You could have an analog clock, and with different workflows and different situations, you'll be able to push content to this screen. There's a high-performance wideband G722 speaker. So there's 3 speakers that are assembled in this unit, and then it also has a multicolored high-intensity LED flasher. Again, this is the single-sided version that's pictured here. We also are building a dual-sided version, and it's the 8420. So what it is the 8410 dual-sided with the perpendicular mounting option to be able to mount this also from the ceiling. The device again will be powered by PoE++. So if you don't have that available, you can buy an injector that supports PoE++, or you can configure that on a lot of the new switches that are out there today. So here's an image basically of the device being surface mounted. Would be very common in a classroom. all the core features that we have on our speakers and our adapters, that's common across the portfolio. So if you're familiar with, the multicast capabilities, the SIP registration, and so on and so forth, that's common, so that's available to you. What would be new, of course, is the content that you're going to push to this screen and how you're going to address the device to be able to push out notifications. But the common core feature set is the same across the portfolio. So if you were to log into this device, it would look very, very familiar to you, from a deployment strategy. So again, as I mentioned, you're going to be able to, customize this screen. So you'll be able to push out, for instance, the example here, a class reminder, that it's picture day. You can have this scheduled to, rotate through and push these images up. You're going to be able to, push, for instance, an emergency notification if you go into a lockdown or a shelter in place or a tornado warning. You're going to be able to push that emergency notification here. You can have scrolling text that can be accompanying your notification on here as well. And in addition, you'll be able to trigger, audio messages as you've done in the past, right? When you've done an emergency notification in the past with audio and with the 8138 strobe lights and different flash patterns and colors, very similar experience here. We're just going to be pushing content to an LCD display screen. So, in normal time, you can have whatever you want painted on here. You can have, the time. You can have, logos and so on and so forth. You can highly customize what you're going to want to be able to push and put on this screen. So we've also introduced recently the Algo device management platform. And that has some new content that's being added to it. It's zero-touch provisioning. So for those of you who are not familiar with this, our devices come with a web interface for management. So every device that you connect into your network, once you know the IP address of the device, you can log into that device and configure it and manage it as an independent device. We've also, in the past, we built the 8300, which is basically a subnet specific or a site specific device that you would deploy on the network, and it'll go out and find all the Algo devices that are on there. So it'll give you that single pane view of your Algo environment, and you'll be able to, manage it, monitor it with this device. And what we've recently introduced is ADMP, which is the Algo device management platform, which is a cloud-based service, right? So with the onboard web interface, there's of course no charge for that. It's there and it's available. With the 8300, you buy that device, you deploy it, you can manage up to 250 devices with it. With ADMP, you can manage up to 10,000 devices, multi-site. It's a service, so you would pay $10 US per year per device that's connected to it. So what we have introduced, which is available now, is zero-touch provisioning. So the zero-touch provisioning that's going to be available at ADMP, there'll be no charge for that. So basically, it's a free service from Algo to help you with deployments. You'll basically be able to have your devices managed with the ZPT tool and push the config to them initially on boot up. So when you get those devices, you register them with us. When they do boot up, they're going to go to the zero-touch provisioning server, and they'll basically go get their redirection to go to a central provisioning server, which could be an 8300 or any server that you have designated in your network environment. So here's an example. So redirect to a provisioning server and enable the ADMP cloud monitoring. So then you're going to have the device. It's going to go basically out to your server and get its full config file, and it'll also enable that ADMP cloud monitoring. If you want to be able to use ADMP to be able to do all your configuration and management of your files, what it'll do is the auto ADMP capability will just push out a config file that will enable ADMP cloud monitoring. You would then log into ADMP with your credentials, and all your devices would be there for you to be able to configure and manage. So in summary, we're very busy. We have a lot of new products that are going to be coming out in the near future as well, and we look forward to being able to do more presentations with you in the future. So again, we've introduced the Teams compatibility that's going live this week. We've got the new LCD display, and we've also brought the zero-touch provisioning online. Another thing that's interesting is the integration, the Integrator program. So this program is a program that we're going to be launching. So again, if you go to our website, you'll be able to register for the integration program, and you'll become authorized to integrate, and that will allow you to receive advanced training. And a really big plus is customer leads. I mean, we don't have any type of professional services within our organization. We offer technical support, but we do get many customers that reach out to us for guidance, and a lot of the time they're looking for someone to help them, do that full planning and integration. And we'd be more than happy to share those leads with the integrators that register for this program. So Julie, that's the update that I have at this time, and I can take any questions and answer those if there's been any posted.
Thank you very much, Scott. And yes, we've got questions. And again, thank you for that wonderful presentation. And our audience has submitted some questions. And let's get started with the first one.
Sure.
Are the warranties the same for each product that you have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have a one-year warranty across our portfolio of products. Basically 15 months from date of manufacture. We allow for some shelf time on there, but yeah, it's a one-year warranty that's available. If you wanted to buy extended warranty, we do make that available on a case-by-case basis. Many of our customers, because of the mean time to failure, I mean, our products are very well built. There's no moving parts, right? They're all solid state. We don't have a lot of failures. So, 1 year comes with it. If you wanted to buy additional warranty, we can definitely facilitate that as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott. Next question here for you. How does the Zoom IP paging system integrate with other communication systems such as VoIP and SIP?
Well, Zoom is a hosted provider, right? So basically, you've got a number of systems that are out there that are premise-based or hosted in the cloud. Zoom being a cloud-based solution. And what would happen is you would basically take our device, put it on your network, and when you log into the device, you'll see that there's a SIP tab there, and it's asking for credentials. So if you wanted to register this into a Zoom environment, you would basically log into your portal. You would create a user, basically an extension with SIP credentials. You would log into the Algo device, put those credentials there, and then we would be able to register into that platform. So then you'd be able to pick up the phone within your Zoom environment and call the device. If you do assign a DID, direct inward dial number to it, you'd be able to dial that from an external number if you wanted. But that's common across our portfolio. We're a third-party, SIP device. So any platform, there's over 60 of them that I'm aware of that we're certified on, would be very similar. You would just basically create the credentials, put in the credentials in our device, and then we'll register to that environment.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott. This next question may be very similar to the last one. If so, please clarify. So here it is. How does the Zoom IP paging system handle multi-site deployments and large-scale installations?
Yeah, so again, with a hosted environment, we will deploy, and we will deploy locally to a subnet, and then we would register back into that hosted environment. So you would be able to, call any one of those entities. It'll answer, and then what would happen is you don't have to have everything registered back into your Zoom environment. Take, for example, the 8301 paging adapter. That's become a very popular device to kind of lock away in the IDF closet. So what would happen is I would register that back into Zoom. I would call the device. It's going to answer. I could have, a couple of hundred speakers installed in a warehouse or a logistics center. And the 8301 is what's going to be terminating that call from Zoom. And what will then happen is my voice will propagate out onto the network as an RTP stream. And all of the Algo devices that are out there that are in what we call listening mode will receive that RTP stream and play it. And then, of course, we have the ability to do multiple zones in an environment like that. So again, that's all configurable. So the call would come in, for instance, to the 8301. It could answer and play a WAV file, for this zone, press 1, for that zone, press 2, and so on and so forth. And then what would happen is, based on the DTMF input, we would then allocate that page to that receiving zone, right? So that's all configurable, very easy to do, and yes, wide scale, large scale.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Scott. Next question here for you. What types of devices are compatible with Microsoft Teams solution, and what are the setup requirements?
Yeah, so as I alluded to, I showed you there was a number of the devices there. There's if you go to our compatibility page, they're all listed there. There's a guide there as well that will step you through the requirements, but all that's required is a common area license to be able to register the device. So for those of you that are familiar with registering any type of a SIP device into the gateway, it's a very similar process. So what happens is you load the 5.3.2, which is our latest firmware that has the team compatibility in it. You basically enable that Teams capability under the admin settings. The device will reboot and it'll come up in Teams mode looking for a pairing code. And again, if you go to our compatibility page, there's a document there that fully explains exactly how to do all that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Scott. Next question here for you. What does Algo Solutions ensure the reliability and quality of the audio broadcasts in their IP paging system? And what measures are there in place to prevent network congestion or interruptions?
Yeah, so we support multiple codecs. We support G711. We also support G722 wideband and Opus. So typically, think of us as an IP phone. So as you would manage your Polycom, your Yealink phones, you would manage us similarly. We're going to basically connect to the network. Typically, we'll be deployed in the same VLAN because we're going to multicast to those devices when we do paging, and vice versa. They're going to multicast to us when they initiate paging, which we can engineer and design. So from a codec perspective, we have the G711, G722 as a registered device out to a SIP environment. Yes, this question comes up quite a bit, right? What if I lose my WAN connectivity? Am I going to lose my paging because I no longer have that SIP registration? So what we can do is, as I mentioned, as long as the LAN is up, and depending on the phone model that's deployed, we can build a full RTP capable paging environment, leveraging our assets, the Algo devices, and the phones that are deployed. So that's very easy to do, and it's supported on many of the phones, like your Yealinks and Polys, which are very popular. Your audio codes, we're capable of doing that. So we can build a paging system being independent of SIP requirements. The other thing that we've done, for instance, is we have an audio plate. So you'll notice on the 8301, there's an audio input, right? So what you can do is you can deploy an 8301 onto your environment. You can dedicate an audio plate to it, and then you can connect, an XLR handheld microphone. So in the event of a WAN failure, that's another stopgap, and you would just toggle that on, and you'd be able to pick up the microphone and speak to the entire environment. So those are some of the ways that we do it. And from a congestion perspective, I mean, we would just, we're multicast is very light duty. So yeah, it would be managed as they would manage their environment with multicast for other devices as well.
Thank you so much for that, Scott. Next question for you regarding your website, which has a multitude of extremely valuable and important information. Can you just zoom in for us and tell us about where we can find, for example, customer service or the quickest way to find tech support on your website? What would you suggest?
Well, go to www.algosolutions.com, and once you go to that page, that's our page, and you'll see that there's a banner there. You have products, solutions, and support. So if you click on the support tab, of course, that's how you can work through to get post or pre-sale support. Another thing that we do is we publish all of our firmware free of charge. So you can go there and get the latest firmware for a device. If you want to get in touch with us, there's a contact button, but it's a very straightforward, very simple to navigate page. Under the resources tab, there's a lot of great information there as well. And if you go, for instance, under resources and go to the guides section, there's a lot of information about existing paging systems and how to integrate to them. So if you had legacy equipment in place, how do you tie an 8301 into there? How do you do a SIP registration? How do you set up multicast? There's all kinds of guides that are published on the site. And then, if you go to the solutions tab, you can basically look at solutions by application, solutions by industry. So there's a lot of great information on there that explains, exactly how our devices connect to a network, how they work, and how they'd be utilized in different verticals, addressing multiple use cases.
Excellent, Scott. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate that. And again, your website, very valuable. The training looks fantastic, and it's great for our technical support person as well, because many times they get calls, they get questions, and they want to know maybe how to grow their system with Algo and all that sort of thing. So extremely helpful. Thank you so much for answering all of those questions for us today. And thank you to everyone for attending our webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. We love that part. Scott, thank you so much for your time and all of your information for us today. We're going to contact you and have an update in a couple of months if that works for you. Everybody, have a fantastic day.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.